Okay.
Action.
Good evening, each and everyone, especially to our Honorable Judge Emmanuel Pasal. Classmates, we are grateful for having with us our celebrity guest, starting from Derek Ramsey or Mr. Chilo Bonachita. Welcome, Mr. Derek Ramsey.
Thank you.
We have Jericho Rosales or Justilo Vicariato.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. We have Gerald Anderson, Jason Ampon, and yours
Good
truly,
evening.
John Lloyd Cruz. Tonight, we will discuss the following topics, starting from motion for new trial up to cybercrime law. And we are privileged to start and discuss with you tonight. Okay, shall we start with motion for new trial? What is the purpose of a new trial in criminal case? I would like to address this question to Mr. Gerald Anderson. Ay, sa'yo, pre, sa'yo.
Tumal.
Ikaw si
Okay,
Bonachita, maging mga tana.
Ay, Gerald
Sige,
Anderson. Oh,
Tama man.
Si
Iso.
Bonachita, mga tana.
Dili.
Nagbaylo mi pre. Nagbaylo mi.
Nag-swap sila. Nag-swap sila kayo.
Nagbaylo mi kay para kon.
Nag-swap may kay Aaron Dixon na dayon.
Okay.
Okay.
Sige.
Okay, balik ta. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to our honorable judge.
Good evening.
Tonight, we are grateful and happy to have with us our celebrity guest to discuss legal topics in criminal procedures. Would like to introduce the member of the group. First, with us, Derek Ramsey or Mr. Chelo Bonachita.
Good evening, classmates and judge.
We have Jericho Rosales or Justilo Vicariato,
Good evening.
and a handsome man, the hottest person in the earth this time, Gerald Anderson, Jason Campbell,
Good evening, viewers.
and yours truly,
Good evening.
broken-hearted person, John Lloyd Cruz. Tonight, we will discuss some important matters regarding new trial up to cybercrime law. Our first speaker will answer some questions will be asked by the following members. We have Mr. Gerald Anderson. As to start our discussion, I would like to ask a question regarding what
Ano ba? Nipilit ka, pre.
Ila pre. Pre, ikat pre. Balik na siya. Dito na sugod sa question na. Sa question na palita malangan.
Oh, ako na to edit. Sige.
Oh, sige.
Balik,
Tayo na.
balik,
Pre,
balik,
balik.
balik ka sa pangutana, pre.
Oh.
okay.
Isa ha.
Okay na to ganina, nangatawa ta.
Okay na to pre. Okay to kay
Okay.
kon ba dili siya kon bitaw. Di mo formal dapat kon na Malaysia mo siya.
Sige.
Nawala ang siyungan.
Hinay na po na akong kwan.
Sige, ikaw na, pre.
Follow sa Angel. Follow sa Angel Scout.
Mahilot ako dito.
Sige, dito pangutana, pre. Dito pangutana.
First
O
question,
tana.
what is the purpose of a new trial in criminal case?
Purpose of new trial in criminal case is to temper the severity of a judgment or prevent the failure of justice.
Okay. My second question, Mr. Loverboy, Mr. Gerald Anderson, sir, do you still remember the grounds for new trial?
Yes, of course. The court shall grant a new trial on any of the following grounds. First, errors of law or irregularities. That errors of law or irregularities which are prejudicial to the substantial rights of the accused have been committed during the trial. Second ground is the newly discovered evidence, wherein that new and material evidence has been discovered which the accused could not have reasonably or nawala ko pre. Wait, ikat lang to pre.
Sige,
Ah,
sige.
Second ground is the new balik ko?
Sige. Yeah, the newly discovered.
Bakat mo ka?
Wala. Sige lang, ako na to i-edit. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Second ground is the sige. The second ground is the newly discovered evidence. That new and material evidence has been discovered which the accused could not, with reasonable diligence, have discovered and produced at the trial, and which, if not introduced, admitted, would probably change the judgment.
Okay. Thank you for
Those
that.
two are the grounds wherein the court shall grant the new trial.
Okay. Thank you for that very wonderful explanation, Paniero Gerald Anderson. So,
You're welcome.
when may
You're welcome.
a motion for reconsideration in a criminal case be filed?
The motion for reconsideration may be filed at any time before a judgment of conviction becomes final.
Oh, I see. So, Mr. Loverboy, Mr. Gerald Anderson,
Yes.
what are the grounds for
Yes.
reconsideration in criminal cases?
In criminal cases, the grounds for reconsideration is where the court shall grant such reconsideration on the grounds of error of law or fact in the judgment, which requires no further proceedings. That can be found
I
in
see.
Section 3, Rule 121 of the Rules of Court.
Thank you.
So let me ask this.
Pre.
What are the
Wait.
effects of granting new trial or reconsideration?
Pre, kadali lang.
Sige, pre, bro. Dagan na kayo na.
Ah.
Sige, trial.
Yeah. Ikat tong kuan pre, Section 3, Rule 121, murag nag-change pre. Di na ni Rule 121.
Mo ba?
Sayop ko.
Nag-ala
lang to na portion.
Sige lang, ato lang ng ikuan lang yapon.
Last question.
Kita na to. Kuan. Sige. Di na ta sa... napamuli kay last question, pre ba?
Napay last question. What are the effects of granting the new trial or reconsideration?
The last question. What are the effects of granting the new trial or reconsideration?
The effects of granting a new trial or reconsideration are the following. First, when a new trial is granted on the ground of errors of law or irregularities committed during the trial, all the proceedings and evidence affected thereby shall be set aside and taken anew. The court may, in the interest of justice, allow the introduction of additional evidence. The second effect will be when a new trial is granted on the ground of newly discovered evidence, the evidence already adduced shall stand and the newly discovered and such evidence, other evidence as the court may, in the interest of justice, allowed to be introduced shall be taken and considered together with the evidence already in the record. And the third ground will be, in all cases, when the court grants new trial or reconsideration, the original judgment shall be set aside or vacated, and new judgment rendered accordingly. Those are the effects of new trial and reconsideration in criminal cases.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that, Paniero Loverboy Gerald Anderson.
You're welcome.
So now,
I guess you don't have Any more questions?
Yes, thank you for that.
None so far, Mr. Loverboy, Gerald Anderson. Thank you for the enlightenment.
Thank you. So,
Thank you for the
You are
wisdom that
very
you have.
much welcome.
I may now ask Paniero Derek Ramsey, Shelo Bonachita.
Yours truly.
What is an appeal? Paniero Derek Ramsey. Paniero Derek Ramsey, what is an appeal?
Nawala siya.
Nawala. Hello? Hello, everybody. Wala ko, pre.
Oh, sige pre.
Larga bola.
Okay.
Isa kay si Kwan, si Bonacita, si Derek Ramsey, no?
Oh, Derek Ramsey.
Derek Ramsey.
Sige. Bale. Padayon ta.
Sige.
Sige, padayon ta. Okay. Okay. Now, I may ask Paniero Derek Ramsey, Shalom Bonachita. Paniero, what is an appeal?
That's a good question, Paniero. Jericho Rosales, the Mr. Guapo of Liceo de Cagayan University. Appeal is a proceeding for review. Take note, Paniero, it is for review, by which the whole case is transferred to the higher court for a final determination. The right to appeal is a mere statutory privilege. Only final judgments and orders are appealable.
Now it's time to ask you, Paniero Derek Ramsey. Can you hear me, Paniero?
Yes, Paniero.
Now the question will be, may the prosecution appeal a judgment of acquittal?
Paniero Jericho Rosales.
Oh, he's
Gerald Anderson. Oh, Pili ko wakat, no?
No.
Thank you for that wonderful question again. Mr. Loverboy, Gerald Anderson. General rule, no, the accused would be subjected to double jeopardy. But there is an exception. If the dismissal is made upon motion or with the express consent of the accused. There's also an exception to the exception. One is insufficiency of the prosecution evidence, or B, violation of the accused's right to a speedy trial. Another, if the dismissal is not an acquittal or based upon consideration of the evidence on merits. And three, if the question is purely legal, so that should the dismissal be found incorrect, the case shall be remanded for further proceedings to determine the guilt or innocence of the accused. I hope I answer your question, Mr. Loverboy, Gerald Anderson.
Okay.
Yes, you did, Paniero Derek Ramsey. Thank you.
Mr. Loverboy Derek Ramsey.
Yes, Paniero, retired playboy.
Try to file an appeal.
I appreciate your question, Paniero.
Mr. Loverboy Derek Ramsey.
Yes,
Try to file an appeal.
that's a wonderful question. My very good Paniero, the retired playboy, John Lloyd Cruz. An appeal can be filed in the RTC in cases decided by the Metropolitan Trial Court Municipal Circuit Trial Court, Municipal Trial Court, and MTCC, Municipal Trial Court, Municipal Circuit Trial Court. Municipal Trial Court, Circuit,
Circuit Trial Court, MTCC.
Ah?
Saan yung MTCC? Isa ako sa iposa. Go.
Answer ako dito, pre. Sorry.
Sige. Sige, go. Go, pre.
Thank you.
Sige, ibalik na nato sa pangutana, pre. Ungab. Balik sa question. Jo. Balik sa question.
Okay. Sige pang question.
Where to file appeal?
Where to file?
I post. Mr. Loverboy, Derek Ramsey, where to file an appeal?
That's a wonderful question. My good friend Paniero, the retired playboy, John Lloyd Cruz. An appeal shall be taken before the RTC in cases decided by Municipal Trial Court, Metropolitan Trial Court, or Municipal Circuit Trial Court. An appeal could also be filed in Court of Appeals or to the Supreme Court in the proper cases provided by law, or in cases decided by the Regional Trial Court or RTC. Supreme Court also in cases decided by the Court of Appeals. Supreme Court in cases decided by City in Bank or Court of Tax Appeal. And Supreme Court in cases decided by the Sandigan Bayan. That's all, Paniro. That's the where to file an appeal, Mr. Retired Playboy.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that, Paniero, Derek Ramsey. Well, in instances, Paniero, what is the effect of the appeal against several accused?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Guapo, Plesio de Cagayan University. Appeal taken by any of the civil accused shall have the following effects. One, remember this, Mr. Guapo, that it shall not affect those who did not appeal, except insofar as the judgment of the appellate court is favorable and applicable to the latter. Two, the appeal of the offended party from the civil aspect shall not affect the criminal aspect of the judgment or order appealed from. And lastly, Paniro, the important, upon perfection of the appeal, the execution of the judgment or final order appealed from shall be stayed as the appealing party. That's the three instances, Paniro, that the appeal against several accused, the effect of their appeal is.
Now, the last question for you, Idol Derek Ramsey, will be this. What are the grounds on the dismissal of an appeal?
Thank you, my good friend Paniro, Gerald Anderson. I know you're busy with who's the girl right now? Barito?
Barito.
Anyway, just regards me to your good friend Barito there. Claudine Barito or Gritzy Barito? Anyway, here are the grounds of an appeal. I will mention few so that you will be familiar with the grounds. One, failure of the appellant to serve and file the required number of copies of his brief of memorandum within the time provided by these rules. Number two, appellant escapes from prison or confinement, jumps bail or flees to a foreign country during the pendency of the appeal. Three, failure of the record on appeal to show on its face that the appeal was taken within the period fixed by these rules. Number four, Paniro, failure to file the notice of appeal or the record on appeal within the period prescribed by these rules. The fifth one, failure of the appellant to pay the docket and other lawful fees. 6. Unauthorized alterations, omissions, or additions in the approved record of appeal as provided. 7. Absence of specific assignment of errors in the appellant's brief or of page references to the record as required in Section 13, paragraph A, C, D, and F of Rule 44. And lastly, Panyero, failure of the appellant to take the necessary steps for the correction or completion of the record within the time limited by the court in its order. I hope I answer your question, Panyero, clearly and correctly.
Thank you very much, Idol Panyero Derek Ramsey.
Now, Panyero, it's my time to ask our good friend Panyero, the retired playboy, a very good question topic to be discussed also about search and seizure.
Go ahead.
My good Panyero, yes, are you ready, my good friend, retired playboy John Lloyd Cross, for a small question about search and seizure?
I am ready.
Yes, as we all know, Panhiro, it is high time right now because of the PDEA and PNP situation, where there is a buy bust and there is a sell bust. I want to ask you, Panhiro, the retired playboy, what is the nature of a search warrant?
Okay. A search warrant is in the nature of a criminal process akin to a writ of discovery. It is a special and peculiar remedy, drastic in its nature, and made necessary because of a public necessity.
Oh, I
I
see.
hope that is very clear to you, our idol, Derek Ramsey.
Thank you. That's clear enough. The retired playboy, my very good Panhiro.
Oh, okay. Now it's my time to ask a question again for you, Paniero, retired playboy John Lloyd Cruz. So, in that instances, what does probable cause mean?
Well, probable cause is the existence of such facts and circumstances as would incite the belief in a reasonable mind and acting on the facts within the knowledge of the prosecutor that the person charged was guilty of the crime for which he was prosecuted.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that wonderful explanation, John Lloyd Cruz, Paniero.
Welcome, Jericho.
Now,
Excellent.
another question for you, Mr. Retired Playboy. Assuming that I want to search your house, where can I file for a search warrant? Please answer my question, Retired Playboy.
Okay. Since you want to search my house, is there any illegal activities or any object? Any court within whose territorial jurisdiction the crime was committed can be filed any of the court which has jurisdiction in the area or for compelling reasons stated in the application. Number one, if the place of the commission of the crime is known, any court within the judicial region where the crime was committed. Number two, any crime within the judicial region where the warrant shall be enforced. However, if the criminal action was already been filed, the application shall only be made in the court where the criminal action is pending. Is that clear? Am I clear to you, Panyero Giran?
Very
Yes.
clear, Panyero, Retired Playboy. Thank you so much.
My good friend, retired playboy John Lloyd Cruz, somebody texted me and want me to ask you a question.
Okay,
Is there
go ahead.
any exemption for the application of warrant, of search warrant?
Yes, there are exemptions in the application for search warrant. If a case was not yet been filed, it may be filed in a court with a territorial jurisdiction other than that where the legal articles so to be sized are located. This is aside from the consideration that a criminal action may be filed in different venues under the rules for continuing crimes, or where the different trial courts have concurrent original jurisdiction over the same criminal offense.
Okay, I see. Thank you for a wonderful answer, Mr. Loverboy. Out, the retired playboy, John Lloyd Cruz.
Mm, okay.
You're welcome. Idol Derek.
Now, Panyero John Lloyd, someone also called me with regards to the time of the search warrant to be served. Since it's from
That
Osami
Ilin
City.
Adarna.
Yeah, don't want to disclose the identity of the one who texted me because he's very close to the people who were uh, 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 been a victim of such heinous crime in Osami City. So she asked me rather that when what time should a search warrant be served?
Okay. A search warrant can be served daytime unless the affidavit asserts that the property is on the person or in the place ordered to be searched, in which case a direction may be inserted that it may serve at any time of the day or night. That is under Rule 126, Section 9. A search warrant violates Rule 126, Section 9 if the time for making the search is left blank. So it must be filled in, thus enabling the officers to conduct the search in the evening of the appointed search, causing untold conveniences to the person searched. So even though there is a warrant or search warrant be served, it also advocate the privacy of the person to be searched. Where a search warrant is to be made during the nighttime, the authority for executing the same at that time should appear in the directive on the face of the search warrant.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome, Paneros.
Kat,
Nice one.
kat sa nato pareha kay mag
Out sa
40
ta?
minutes na.
Okay, 40 minutes na?
Oh, ako sa ning i-kuan dayon kay para makuha nako